Welcome, everyone. Lance Scurv X here, the Scurv Podcast, lancescurvx.com. You know, if you followed me for any time, you pretty much know I'm big on focus. I'm big on being very efficient with my time during my day. One of my practices that I've always followed was having myself to myself before the world gets at me. When I used to do bodybuilding many decades ago, I would make sure to get to the gym before I did anything else. There were times when I had jobs that I had to be to very, very early, but I was very determined to have myself to myself before the day got at me. Now, this particular segment and offering is not about bodybuilding, but it's a principle that you can transfer into other parts of your life if you so please. So if I had to leave my home at 5 o'clock in the morning to get to a particular job, which I had a situation that way, I was blessed enough to have the keys to the gym. The owner and I were close. Steve Zinn, God rest his soul. And he knew how I like to train before anything else. So there were times I used to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to get to the gym by 3 and work out for an hour and a half before I began my commute into Manhattan. It was a lot because I was on a restricted diet, getting ready for competitions. And I would have to carry my food with me, and I'd have to carry a change of clothes that I would work in. So there was a lot of time that I spent on the train in New York City, going back and forth, coming back home, and sometimes I didn't even come back home. There were times when I trained in another gym where it was in Manhattan. It was easier for me. It was like a sister gym to the original one. And the owner suggested to me that I can spend the night at that gym. That way I didn't have to come and go all the way home to Queens after work. I would just come downtown, train a few people at the gym. I had my food, and I would sleep there on a cot, locked away in the basement by the locker room. That's dedication, and it paid off. But how many of us are willing to focus and give up certain comforts? And in that situation, and in that case, I would come home on the weekends. It's a lot of dedication. And I did that for several months, but I was determined to not have to go to the gym after for my main workout. I did personal training, and this is before you needed certification and all of that paperwork, but I'm a hands-on guy. But I'm just sharing that to let you know that I'm one who's big on focus. And when I was younger, although, my weakness was the women, when it came to training, nothing beat that, okay? So I know hardcore focus, and I believe in it. Work hard to get what you want, but work efficiently. But today, we're living in a time where distractions are attacking people from every direction. It's hard to focus. It can be done though. Many people wake up tired, mentally drained, emotionally confused, and spiritually disconnected without fully understanding why. The world has become loud, fast, and demanding. Every day, there's another controversy, another temptation, another false promise, and another trap waiting to pull your attention away from the things that truly matter. Many people believe the greatest danger comes from obvious evil, but the real danger often comes disguised as pleasure, entertainment, comfort, money, validation, and false opportunities. The problem is that most distractions never look dangerous in the beginning. They arrive looking attractive, exciting, and harmless. Some distractions come wrapped in relationships that feel good at first, but later become toxic. I've seen that many times. Some come through social media addictions that slowly consume your focus and peace of mind. Others come through unhealthy habits, gossip, greed, lust, jealousy, or other endless need for approval from people who do not even value you. These distractions slowly chip away at your discipline until you no longer recognize yourself. Many people today cannot even sit alone with their thoughts for 5 minutes without reaching for a phone, television, music, or some form of noise. Silence has become uncomfortable because silence forces us to confront ourselves honestly. In silence, truth rises to the surface. In silence, we begin to recognize what is draining us, who is manipulating us, and where we have allowed weakness to grow inside of us. But many people avoid that moment because distraction has become their escape from reality. The sad truth is that there are systems, industries, and individuals who benefit from keeping people spiritually weak and mentally distracted. A distracted person is easier to manipulate. A distracted person spends more money trying to fill emotional emptiness. A distracted person reacts emotionally instead of thinking clearly. A distracted person is easier to divide, control, tempt, and mislead. This is why protecting your focus has become one of the greatest forms of spiritual survival in modern times. The strongest people are not always the loudest people. Many times the strongest people are the ones who know how to guard their minds, protect their peace, and stay centered while chaos is happening around them. Spiritual focus is not about pretending life is perfect. It is about refusing to allow the confusion of the world to poison your inner spirit. It is about remaining disciplined enough to protect your purpose even when distractions are calling your name every single day. Every person has weaknesses. That's a fact. Some people struggle with loneliness. Others struggle with pride, anger, lust, greed, insecurity, fear, jealousy, or emotional pain from past experiences. The distractions that affect us the most are usually connected directly to those weaknesses. That is why temptation feels personal. It comes dressed in a form that speaks directly to what we crave emotionally and oftentimes physically. A lonely person may become attached to toxic company simply because they fear being alone. A person hungry for validation may sacrifice their morals just to feel accepted by a crowd. A person struggling financially may become vulnerable to dishonest shortcuts that promise fast rewards. The world studies human weakness carefully and constantly creates new ways to exploit it. What begins as a small compromise can eventually become a lifestyle of spiritual destruction. Many people do not realize that energy is spiritual currency. Whatever you consistently give your attention to will eventually shape your thinking, emotions, habits, and behavior. If you constantly feed your mind with negativity, drama, conflict, and chaos, your spirit will become heavy. If you surround yourself with bitter people, eventually bitterness begins to feel normal. If you spend every day consumed with envy and comparison, you slowly lose gratitude for your own life. This is why spiritual discipline matters so much. You cannot allow every voice access to your mind. You cannot allow every trend to influence your thinking. You cannot allow every emotional urge to control your behavior. Discipline is protection. Self-control is protection. Silence is protection. Awareness is protection. Many people destroy themselves because they refuse to set boundaries around what enters their spirit. Not every opportunity is meant for you. Some opportunities arrive only to test your judgment. Some people enter your life only to drain your energy. Some situations appear exciting in the beginning, but later reveal themselves as traps designed to waste your time, destroy your focus, and weaken your spirit. Learning how to say no is one of the most powerful spiritual skills a person can develop. One thing many people notice is that distractions often increase when they begin improving themselves. The moment a person decides to become disciplined, focused, peaceful, and spiritually aware, new temptations suddenly appear. Toxic people reappear unexpectedly. Bad habits become harder to resist. Confusion increases. Emotional attacks intensify. This happens because growth creates resistance. When you begin rising mentally and spiritually, you also begin separating yourself from environments that once controlled you. Not everyone will celebrate your growth. Some people benefited from your weakness. Some people enjoyed your confusion because it made them feel more comfortable about their own lack of discipline. A focused person forces distracted people to confront themselves honestly, and many people do not want to do that. This is why maintaining spiritual focus often requires separation. You may have to distance yourself from toxic conversations, negative environments, draining relationships, and unhealthy habits. This does not mean you hate people. It simply means you understand that your spirit cannot continue growing while constantly surrounded by poison. Many people confuse isolation with solitude, but they are not the same thing. Isolation can become dangerous when it leads to hopelessness and emotional collapse. But solitude can become healing when used correctly. Solitude allows you to recharge mentally, reflect honestly, strengthen your spirit, and reconnect with your purpose without outside noise controlling your thoughts. The world has trained many people to fear being alone because when a person becomes comfortable in solitude, they become harder to manipulate. A person who understands their value no longer begs for acceptance. A spiritually grounded person no longer chases every trend or follows every crowd. They move with purpose instead of emotional desperation. Many people underestimate how deeply their environment shapes their spirit. Toxic environments normalize toxic behavior. Corrupt surroundings slowly influence your thinking until unhealthy behavior starts to feel normal. This is why some people cannot heal while remaining in the same destructive environment that broke them in the first place. Protecting your spiritual focus requires daily maintenance. Just like the body needs healthy food and rest, the spirit also requires nourishment. Prayer, meditation, reflection, discipline, healthy routines, uplifting conversations, and moments of silence all help strengthen the mind and spirit against corruption. Spiritual strength is not built overnight. It is built through consistent daily choices. People today are emotionally exhausted because they are constantly consuming negativity. Fear sells, drama sells, conflict sells, Many platforms profit from keeping people angry, distracted, addicted, and emotionally unstable. This is why you must become intentional about what you consume mentally and emotionally. Everything you watch, listen to, and entertain eventually affects your spirit, whether you realize it or not. A spiritually focused person understands that peace is power, clarity is power, self-control is power, discipline is power. The world may continue becoming louder and more chaotic, but that does not mean you must surrender your inner peace to it. You can choose awareness over confusion. You can choose discipline over temptation. You can choose purpose over distraction. At the end of the day, maintaining spiritual focus is not about becoming perfect. It is about remaining conscious in a world designed to keep people asleep mentally and spiritually. It is about protecting your purpose, your peace, your mind, and your soul from forces that seek to weaken you. The more aware you become, the harder it becomes for distraction to control your life. The strongest people are not always the people with the most money, fame, or influence. The strongest people are often the ones who can maintain peace while the world around them is falling apart. They understand that spiritual focus is not something you practice once in a while. It is a daily commitment to protecting your mind from corruption and your soul from confusion. Many people today are spiritually starving while being surrounded by endless distractions pretending to be fulfillment. The more disconnected people become from themselves, the easier it becomes for outside influences to control their emotions, decisions, and direction in life. This is why self-awareness is one of the greatest forms of protection a person can possess. You must pay attention to what drains you, what weakens you, what clouds your judgment, and what repeatedly pulls you away from your purpose. Not every battle deserves your energy. Not every argument deserves your attention. Not every relationship deserves access to your spirit. Some things exist only to distract you long enough to destroy your momentum. Peace requires discipline. Clarity requires discipline. Spiritual focus requires discipline. The world will always offer distractions, temptations, confusion, and emotional traps. But when you guard your mind, protect your energy, and remain connected to your higher purpose, you move through this chaotic world with wisdom instead of regret. The battle for your spirit is happening every single day, whether you recognize it or not. The question is whether you're aware enough to protect yourself before the distractions of this world slowly consume the very best parts of who you are. I had to share these words because these thoughts in this particular offering, this particular segment on this platform is pretty much how I think when I lay in the bed a few minutes or maybe even 15 minutes before my feet touch the ground, because I have to have myself ready. It's like a boxer walking down to the ring before the fight. If you ever see a focused ring walk, you can pretty much tell the winner of that fight by seeing how focused one is over the other. Now, there are many other factors, but to me, I'm not looking at life like a confrontation, but I do remain aware of the fact that there are forces out there that are looking to take from me my energy, my drive, and my motivation, because that's food for them. That's free food for them. Whether it comes in the form of a person or an incident or something that happened, you have to remain calm within. So you have to have your resources built up on a spiritual and mental level, because those attacks will come. Some days pass by where everything runs smooth, but every now and then something happens to drain you. I look at it like this. When you drive a car, a vehicle, you have to have insurance. You don't want an accident to happen, but you want to have insurance just in case something happens so it can cover the cost of the damage that's incurred in an accident. Some days and most days, there's no accident. But when you have that accident, at least you have the insurance. So when you have these negative confrontations and attacks, at least you're boosted up by your daily practices and how you feed your spirit and your mind to keep it focused through the discipline that you use and execute every single day personally. That's how I see it. The fire extinguisher in your kitchen, if you have one, you don't want things to burn or the oil to flame up and burn you or burn things around you. But if it does, you have that fire extinguisher to knock it out real quick and effortlessly. And that's what this conversation, or monologue rather, was all about. So I hope it helped to strengthen you. If you want to listen to it constantly, fine, do that. That's the purpose of it, to keep you focused. Because, like I say, in this particular present time, our minds are bombarded with so much noise. It's brought to us personally. Do you realize how powerful that is? At one point, many decades ago, before we had social media and smartphones, you had to go to the job to hear the gossip on the job. Not that you wanted to hear that noise, but when you left the job, you didn't hear it anymore, right? When you're younger and you went to school, you heard what was going on and who didn't like who and who had words with who and who might have a fight with who. And then when you came home, you didn't hear it unless somebody called you directly on the phone. And usually that didn't happen, right? But now you lay in your bed. It could be 3 o'clock in the morning and you can be in a deep sleep or whenever you sleep deep and you hear these notifications coming through. You have a message from someone that comes through to tell you something. See, conversations are perpetual now. They don't just have to be in the daylight hours. People know that they can send you a message while you're fast asleep and you'll get it when you get it. But when you get it, usually it's a time when it's inappropriate. So now we have the noise. If it's not the noise about celebrities, if it's not the noise about politics and this war that's going on, if it's not the noise of personal gossip or something that a person heard or their dilemmas, they can bring it to you 24/7. Our minds were not designed for that. Again, we had more solitude, we had more peace, and back in the day, and I'm talking about even hundreds of years ago, yes, we had wars, we had disputes, but I tell you one thing, there was less nervous breakdowns and emotional collapses like we have today. Now we have pills to mask the pain emotionally or mentally. We have this thing called Prozac, and there are other types of psych meds that put us in la-la land. If we didn't have so much noise coming at us, we wouldn't have to take these substances. We wouldn't have to self-medicate with alcohol, with certain types of street drugs. And then we get addicted to the physical drug, but we still have the emotional or mental issue that caused us to use that drug. There's a lot that I see every day, and there's a lot that I like to dissect from my observations. And I've been doing this for a very long time. Yes, I can be a comedian. Yes, I can be a storyteller. Yes, I can go hard on anybody around me, but I tell you what, I go hard on myself, and I demand the best for myself. And the only way to get the best of myself is to stay focused and to stay disciplined, because those two things alone have never let me down in my life. And I tell you, I believe strongly that that's one of the only things that have kept me alive, because if I fell for certain distractions and temptations, I wouldn't be here right now. And trust me, there's a lot of fire in me. There's so much more inside of me that I want to share, and I do not want to cut that short from a foolish distraction that will take me out of here. Anyway, I hope these words help to align you, motivate you, make you aware. Not that you're not aware, but we sometimes need to hear it from someone else to really undergird our missions in life. I wish you a wonderful day. I wish you a wonderful life. The trick is to work hard to get better. Get better today than you were yesterday, and hopefully be better tomorrow than you are today. Every day, incrementally, we're supposed to get better until, as time goes by, we feel good no matter what chronological age we are, and we don't have to fear getting older because we're only getting better. That's how I see life. Much love to you all. Take care. Leave your feedback in your comments. I'm interested to hear what you have to say about this piece. Lance Scurv out. Peace.